Guild Wars 2 is an MMORPG, or massively multiplayer online role-playing game, set on the fantastical continent of Tyria. The 5 races of the continent attempt to cleanse the evil that elder dragons have cast upon their land, through the use of force, magic, and technology, all of which play a major role in the development of the game's story and overall image. The basic concept of the game guarantees diverse gameplay experiences from the get-go for anybody who picks it up. However, all of this freedom to play one's own way raises one question. How does one make the game fair? In the MMORPG game style, a troubling factor has always been character and class balance. What happens when a class is too strong in comparison to the others? If some of its benefits are removed, will this in turn cause another imbalance? Another factor that can impact MMO gameplay is level progression. What stops high-level characters from rampaging around zones for new players, killing everything that the freshly rolled characters need to gain precious experience? Guild Wars 2 has implemented a number of features that answer these questions while creating a positive spin on its genre. It promotes equality among players, a value that can be seen at play in every element of the game. One example of Guild Wars 2's prevalent equality is in the game's class mechanic. The fundamental basis for character creation in Guild Wars 2 is the character's profession, similar to classes in other RPG games. Professions are divided into 3 categories based on heavy, medium, and light armor. Each of these categories are broken down once more into specifics, such as the heavily armored warrior or the robe-clad necromancer. Making a profession decision can be daunting when it seems you must determine how much defense a character has at the moment of its creation. However, fear not, for one of the charms of Guild Wars 2 is that these decisions are not as crucial as character creation makes them out to be. Each class has its own unique ways to defend itself from danger. For example, the Elementalist, a mage wielding the power of fire, water, air, and earth, has a skill called Arcane Shield, which absorbs the damage of several attacks entirely. In theory, this would give an Elementalist more protection than any suit of plate mail. The Thief, on the other hand, has a stealth mechanic that allows it to avoid detection from enemies, removing the potential for taking damage entirely in some situations. Because each profession has its own effective defensive skills, armor ratings, while playing a small role in overall survivability, are far less of a factor in Guild Wars 2. From this conclusion comes another question. If each profession can defend itself from danger with some degree of potency, then what else can set them apart? One could look at the HP ratings of each class. For example, a warrior has far many more hit points than an elementalist. This would make him better at standing at the front line and taking damage, right? The answer to this question is, not really. While a warrior can take more hits before going down, an elementalist possesses far more healing skills, allowing it to keep its lower total HP count up in any given situation. This prevents HP count from being a large factor either. How about attack range? A ranger, using a bow, must be able to survive longer in a fight because it can attack at a distance, right? This perception, like the last, is also not entirely true. By the time that the game's new expansion releases, every single profession will have a melee distance and range option for attack, removing the benefit of having a specifically ranged character. One could ask similar questions about every element of a character and receive a similar answer. This is because Guild Wars 2 is an intentionally balanced game. Every profession can accomplish a task by using its own unique skills, preventing any one from being at an advantage to the other. This is an example of problematizing a game, a term used by the authors of the paper, a method for discovering values in digital games. The developers looked at their game and asked themselves how to make the MMORPG formula something that everyone can enjoy. They looked past the given MMO formula as it had existed for a long time and attempted to shape it into something new. They could have easily built the game in the traditional tank, damage, healer class hierarchy prevalent in games such as World of Warcraft, in which every character has to fill a distinct role. But their belief in equality caused them to adjust their game mechanics to reflect the principle accurately. They stand by the fact that, quote, every profession in Guild Wars 2 excels at combat, without exception, end quote. Because each character is equal in its overall potential, the question of gameplay becomes not which profession to play, but how to play that profession in an enjoyable way. Maybe a player would rather discard a ranger's bow entirely, fighting alongside its beloved pet in close quarters. Because of the way that the game's character mechanics are designed, this type of play is entirely possible. Guild Wars 2 positively enforces the concept of equality by allowing all characters to perform effectively in a way that makes their players happy. That is, assuming that each character is at the same stage in the game's progression. What happens when a level 10 character and a character at the game's level cap interact? Are they still truly equal? Guild Wars 2 helps to solve the issue of gaps in game progression through its use of scaling. Characters in the world progress by gaining experience points and leveling up. Each area of Tyria has a certain level range associated with it, and the monsters in that area are all within that range. Does that mean that a level 80 character can tear through a level 15 to 25 zone with no effort? To be blunt, no. Look at the green number in the bottom left corner of the screen. This is a scaled version of the character's actual level because the character is in a lower level zone. When a higher level character enters a lower level zone, his level and his stats are scaled down to whatever a character of the lower level would have. This puts it on par with characters in the map's level range, preventing the majority of imbalances between characters of different levels. However, this does not go both ways. A lower leveled character is only scaled up in player versus player situations. If it tries to enter a higher level portion of the game's environment, it will not scale up, but will likely die a swift, horrible death at the hands of whatever seemingly harmless wildlife it angers. This one-sided scaling property encourages progression while maintaining Guild Wars 2's idea of equality. One has to level up to enter new portions of the game's world, but can still experience the game as it was meant to be played in any previous area. Let's take a minute to analyze some footage of the game in order to get a better understanding of some of the concepts discussed above and to see some more examples of how equality in the game works. Specifically, let's look at a combat sequence. First, I'll refer you back to the green number. These characters are in a lower leveled zone, and as such their level has been scaled down. The white circles on the ground are called fields, magical zones in which characters can use special skills, called finishers, in order to further damage enemies or create buffs for their allies. Every profession can interact with each other through fields and finishers, both to create unique, fun effects, but also to contribute to the combat effort in its own substantial way. These combo mechanics encourage equality because they can be used by anyone and can benefit everyone. The enemy that the players are fighting is a world boss, a huge boss with tons of hit points. No one character can destroy them, because the game ensures their difficulty. In order to take them down, every player has to contribute. The players in the sequence are of differing levels, armor types, and professions, but they all have to work together for a common goal. World bosses can dish out lots of damage, and in these sorts of situations, it does not matter what you are. A level 80 character and a level 30 character, of any profession, can die about as quickly, proving that even in death, players are equal. When the boss has been defeated, everyone gets their own personal loot chest, meaning that the best loot is not taken by the fastest or highest level players. Everyone gets access to the same spoils of victory. Guild Wars 2 reflects the importance of equality in nearly every mechanic, from professions to combat to loot, and the reason for such emphasis is this. The game's goal is to let the player carve their own path and play their own way, without being punished for it. In Tyria, everyone deserves to have the same amount of fun while experiencing new lands, revisiting old ones, fighting bosses, or each other. The possibilities are legion, and each one is treated with equal respect, making Guild Wars 2 an MMORPG that is truly for everyone.